Very good evening, delegates. A poor Wellness team, the OC of thank you, and the lovely Mumbai circuit. So, generally, I'm really happy for this because this is the first time, I think, in the last 7 years of my engineering experience in the Mumbai circuit where I'm legally allowed to speak for more than 15 minutes on stage. Otherwise, I don't get more than 2 minutes. So this is amazing. Really looking forward to this. Any event that helps me interact with young people, I never give up and I always make sure I have time for this. So one of these things that I was asked to speak about is how as an engineer, and well, I still think I'm an engineering student. I mean, I have graduated, don't worry. But I feel everyone's a student across their lives, and the more you're willing to learn, the more you grow. So apart from that, I was asked to speak about how diverse my entire journey has been so far and what I plan to do later and how I've gotten to where I've gone. Now the thing is, one of these things that come up very frequently, or the questions I've asked more frequently is, how long is your resume? How long is your CV? The thing is, I don't have a CV, mostly because I've never needed it. As someone who is offering jobs to people outside, I don't think I need a CV because of a very fundamental reason. That I refuse to be judged by a single piece of paper. 4 years of my efforts, 4 years of my work in engineering, and it all boils down to a single piece of paper. I don't think that cuts it, right? So more than that, coming to where you guys are at an MUN conference, right? It's a very novel thing, it's very unique, and I feel it's still growing. It's growing to a stage where every conference in India at the moment is innovating, is changing something new, has a flagship something. Every other conference has it, and being a part of it is something very unique. So, of course, one of the first things that I would, love to share with you is, in order to be successful at whatever you do, whatever it is, I'll come to the definition of success later on. But in order to be successful at whatever you do, you should mix two things. That is, number one, what you're good at, and number two, what you like doing. Do you understand what that means? Oh, so there is a third requisite. The third requisite is something that makes you happy. Now, for someone like me, and I'm kind of different in this aspect because for me, happiness has always been the ultimate aim. I always try to chase happiness, if you know what that means. I will not try to, add things on my list of achievements just because they're good and they look fancy. If it does not make me happy, I will probably not go for it. So, think of it as a Venn diagram. When you mix those two circles together, when you get a union of those two sets, is something that you like to do and something that will eventually make you happy and what you're good at, of course. When you mix those two, you're bound to be successful. Why? Because that mixes the two biggest things needed for success, that is excellence and happiness. Right? Now, many times things happen where you are forced in a situation where you don't like. For example, a very common problem I face today, and also as a counselor, as a psychiatric counselor, I get to meet with a lot of students. And a lot of engineering students today feel that they're forced and pressurized into engineering. And this does not go just for engineering. A lot of other fields and disciplines also, they feel they're not quite the right fit, or they don't like where they're at and stuff like that. Or they can do much better in different fields, right? So how to break out of that conundrum? And obviously because I'm someone who will never ever quit. Till the date where in my 12 years of engineering, I've never backed out of anything, any position, anywhere. Mostly because I believe when you quit, you're losing out on a challenge. So the first thing is that you have to treat everything as a challenge. Especially things where you're forced into, things that you don't like, things that you feel you're trapped in a box and you want to escape. Don't you sometimes feel while your exam pressure and exam stress that you just want to melt away, that it's been too much, it's too overwhelming, right? Start thinking of everything as a challenge. Anything that, of course, what are challenges for us? The Russian guy in Call of Duty is better than me, I have to perform better than my opponent, right? That's a challenge for you, and you will naturally perform better when you feel the need to do better. So start thinking of everything as a challenge, right? One of the, perhaps over the last, let's say 14, 15 odd years of my professional life, one thing I have learned so far, and learned the hard way, believe me, is that you have to prepare to be alone. When you are willing to be successful at a young age, when you want ambition before anything else, when you want to keep your ambition at a priority, you have to be prepared to be completely alone. a lot of people will come in your life, make it better, and then exit. Everyone has a phase, everything has a time. And in that whole duration, you might feel you have the best name. But to tell you, to share something brilliant with you, what I'm facing right now, in fact, is that I think about 2 years of my college life, the first 2 years of my college life, my left leg was paralyzed. And I had a broken spine, and I had to undergo a lot of surgeries, about 8 to 10 surgeries on my spine across my college life. And things get tough when you're supposed to be a bed rest and you're in an engineering field, right? I was on a walking stick. And the first few days, yes, people came forward to help me and all that. But when they realized that I have to have a walking stick for 2 years, I suddenly realized that these friends are only doing it for the sake of it. They're not really friends, because they're not there when I need them. They're not there when I need help. Not that I learned how to get by, but the point is that not everyone you feel who is with you today will stand with you tomorrow. When situations get better, when life gets better, you realize more and more people want to connect with you. More and more people want to be your friends. When you're rich, when you're famous, when you're all over the news, people still want to be friends, right? But here's the deal. Even if you're going through a tough time today and you're prepared to be alone, remember what will happen in the future, because now it happens with me. The same people who did not come forward to help me or whatever. Not that I hold it against them. In school, I was bullied for a long time. For about 4 or 5 years, I was heavily bullied in school. Now these people have to sort of take an appointment from my office just to reach me over call. Here's the difference. Sometimes the tables turn, right? And when that happens, you have to be prepared that, okay, I was alone then, maybe I'll be alone in the future also. So that's that. The next thing I want you to understand is, I'm pretty sure all of you have read the Darwinian theory of evolution, right? That is survival of the fittest, right? I don't think that's the case. I don't think the fittest survive at all times. Who's the fittest? If you see the fittest today, they're the ones who go to the gym. People, the ones leading the world today, do you think they are the ones making decisions? That should be this case, right? The world leaders should be all gym freaks and have biceps and triceps, and I'm nothing against them too, but it's not survival of the fittest. The people who lead, the people who succeed, and the people who are at the top are the ones who can adapt to change the most. Change should be the only constant. And this is something that I have built, like my pet peeve is routine of its place, which would be Mesopotamia, I think, right? Mesopotamia was established itself into a proper civilization, how long ago? 3000 BC, I think, roughly that time. Count that till now. It's been how many years? It's been about 5,018 years, if I give it a rough estimate, right? Let's say you live up to be 100, right? You're already in your, 18s and 20s. You have another 80 years. I will roughly count it to 5,100 years, okay? 5,100 years of cognitive civilization of existence, right? How old will you guys be now? 18 and 20? Looking at the trend of, improvement in health sciences, you will probably live up to be 85 or 90. Better than our previous generation, definitely. The last 10 years I will discount, because the last 10 years of your life you're practically a geezer. You'll probably be in your retirement homes, not be able to talk or do anything with your own self. The first 15 years I take off as your development stage. You're in school, you're doing things, you're growing, whatever. So if I remove 25 years out of your total lifespan, you still have about 70 to 80 years to do something good, right? 70 to 80 over an existence of 5,100 years. You have not even existed to 1/50th time of the development of civilization. In the 1/50th of the time that you're here and you can do something, do you want to be known as the guy or the girl who worked for a generic IT company for 40 years, increased their sales by 300%, had a family and did nothing about it? Do you want to be known as the person who did work for good work, no doubt, for some other company, for some other organization, and that's it? Do you want to be reduced to your name on a spreadsheet or an Excel file? Or do you want to grow up to do something for the world? Do you want your one life to matter to as many people possible? And this is the driving force behind whatever I do. I want to be the guy, to be remembered as, rather, who had impact in his life. And not someone who worked for a company, had a few sales in his profit sheet, and that's it. I don't think that works. For that, you have to be ready for change. Change is the only constant. That is, whatever is thrown at you, whatever, you're at an MUN, you followed the UNA, you said was a procedure, I'm guessing, if not the UN4, right? In the next 4 years, a new rural procedure will come into place. In the next 5 years, the entire circuit will change. You will have conferences that have been conducted in Harvard, in Boston, and in Mumbai at SPCE at the same time over video conferencing. And if you're not adapting to change, you will not move forward. So you should always be ready to change, right? The next thing, of course, one of the, I think, is a big reason behind my success as well, is you have to embrace failure. Get this in writing from me today. I'm not trying to discourage you, but get it in writing. You will fail. You will fail in life. If you don't fail enough, I pity you. Because failure eventually leads to success. The ones immune to failure are the strongest people. Because anything that is thrown their way, they know how to bounce back from failure. Right? You have to embrace it with open arms. Here's what you should know about people who have succeeded enough in life. They have failed more times than they have succeeded. Right? Whatever you heard in my introduction, all those bullet points, as I like to call them. I can probably give you an example of rifle shooting. So because of my surgery, there's a little defect with my nervous system, or it used to happen. For that, I can't hold a gun straight, or I can't even hold my hand straight. You see, it shivers, right? And because of that, when the first few months I had to shoot, I used to miss left, right, center so much. So we have a paper target. There were no targets on the paper because I could never get it right. And shooting is something that I've always wanted to do since I was a child. Can you imagine the kind of frustration that one has to go through when your hands are shaking constantly and you cannot hold a gun straight? This changes when I'm doing my work and when I have to hold a spanner and I have to tighten a screw or a bolt. My hand is steady as still because my mind knows that this is important, right? This was a failure because the first 3 months of shooting, people moved to this. While the first 3 months, I'm just learning how to hold a gun straight, right? Eventually, I realized it's a mental game. Shooting is not about how strong you are and how heavy a gun you can lift. It's about keeping your mind calm and focusing in the right direction. Then even if you are, let's say, 45 kilos and the gun itself is 6 kilos, you can still lift it, right? You have to embrace failure. You have to learn from your mistakes and move on. The more you learn to fail properly or with honor, I'm pretty sure you might be expecting awards and you might not get them today. You might be expecting a best that you might end up with a high com or a verbal mention. Even then, don't go back home and think that, oh my God, I didn't deserve it. A lot of times when we fail, at least I'm talking about the engineering industry, we don't fail because we are bad. We fail because our competition is that good. If you look at my competition today, I think I've lost out on at least 100 tenders because thankfully in my field I don't have competitors, but the only ones I do consider are Tata and Mahindra, who are developing weapons technology. They get the tenders and I don't because I'm a very small fish in a very big pond. I'm not going to go back home and cry about it, right? Saying, oh my God, I'm so bad. My deal is to think, okay, Tata and Mahindra are doing so well for a reason, right? What are the reasons? Let me get there. The more you embrace failure, the more you move forward, right? The next thing is, and again, a very important thing is to define your own success. What are one of the first basic questions you get asked in an interview? What does success mean to you? What do you call success, right? You have to start making your own definition. For example, there's a lot of people come and talk to me about it today saying, I got my first car, I bought my first car rather, 3 months after graduating from college, and say, wow, that's amazing, wow, I'm the youngest here, I'm the youngest there, always, the word young comes a lot in my, profile. I said, that is not my success. Yeah, sure, there are good things, I get it. It might be very important to a lot of people, it's not to me. For a lot of people, being rich is very important. It's not to me, money does not even matter to me. My success, I'll tell you my success. My success is when I was training a dyslexic boy in 2014 as a counselor. I was training him and helping him come across his fear of public speaking. A dyslexic boy, school kid from a school here in Bombay, attends his first MUN conference, a college MUN conference, first conference, in a DISEC, which is full of 90 people, 90 college students, the only school child, dyslexic, does not know how to read or write properly, cannot even speak, for heaven's sake, wins his best director in his first conference. That is my success. My success is the policies I make for Syria and Iraq, me and my team, the policies we work for, help 11 million refugees all across the world in real time, in 3 days after we make the policy. That is my success. My success is that my work has the potential to save human soldiers from the line of fire, from actual death. That is my success. This is the things I put my name behind, which I'm proud. Not that I'm not proud of my work, but it's just that different things mean different things to a lot of people. My success is this, right? Alright. Next, and again, quite important for me right now is to start valuing your time. Let's say you have a lot of skill sets. You're a good engineer or you're a good student. You do well in academics. You get a lot of marks. The teachers love you, this and that, right? Time is the biggest resource you have, or any person has for that matter. Because it slips away so fast, you will not even know that you're 35 and you're working in a company you don't even like, in a salary you know you don't deserve, you deserve much more. And you feel, where did my life go away, right? How to start valuing your time is to see what you do during the day. What you do during the entire 24 hours that you have. And again, this also corroborates my first point, is to be alone, because if I have 24 hours, I would work for 18 or 20 hours, I get 2 hours of sleep, and the remainder 2 hours I have, I spend with people I like, my friends and family, right? And compare that to friends of mine, to other colleagues of mine who are, let's say, 6 hours a day of work, 3 hours a day of going to the nearest pub, drinking, partying, having fun, and sleeping for the next 7 hours, coming back to work. And the difference is, when years later, when there's a school reunion, someone who's worked that much will roll up in a BMW. This is the difference. Someone who values their time and spends it doing constructive things is always bound to succeed, and always bound to move ahead, right? So valuing your time is perhaps very important matter. Also, I think the last point that I would like to put forward is something that my mother says quite a lot, and I really didn't believe in it until today. Until very recently, the importance of it. My mother says that whatever you give to the world, you receive 10 times back. So let's say if you're doing something bad to someone, you will receive it later 10 times then, And not that I really believe in the entirety of it, but it's important to be a good human being. It's important to be a good person. Before being the best delegate, realize that you have to be a good delegate. There are many ways of getting the best delegate award. You can, in some circuits, thankfully not Bombay circuits, some circuits you can hang out with the chair a lot and get the best delegate award. In some circuits, you can manipulate the students, you can manipulate people against their foreign policy, get them to lose their marks and then win the best delegate award. Is that the right way? I don't think so. Being a good human being is more important than being the best in your field, right? And that goes for anything and everything that you do in life. Even when I'm talking not just in MUNs, even outside, when you're, let's say, in college, right? College is a very competitive environment. I mean, leave aside college, even school is a competitive environment these days. One thing that I absolutely hate is competition, because I'm no good at it. I am not a competitor. I cannot be that person who thinks constantly, I want to defeat this person, I want to be up there, I'm not a competitor. I'm a collaborator, I'm a cooperator. I want to work together with people to achieve better things. I don't want to beat them, because that's not the kind of person I am. So even in that phase of life, or whatever phase of your life is, it's important to be a good human being first. Try that every day. Basic things you can do every day. Once you walk out of your building, there's a watchman, right? I'm pretty sure there's a watchman outside all of your buildings. Very genuinely, spend 2 seconds, look at him and say thank you. Very genuinely. Actually bow down your head in a very respectful way and say thank you for doing the job. The maid who comes to clean your house, thank you, Didi. Thank you, Bhaiya, whoever it is. Be very respectful towards your Uber drivers, towards people you know are not of that importance to you. The way you deal with people, below your strata shows what kind of a person you really are. Be a good human to everyone, always. And that will take you further than any skill set you can possibly have. Right? Okay. So, beyond that, again, one of the last things that I would like to end this whole thing with is that what would you want your tombstone to read? Matters most than anything. Life is honestly very short, and I've come to realize that very recently. I won't get into the specifics, but I've been in conditions where I did not know if I was going to wake up the next day. But what I realized is that the little amount of time that you have in the world, you have to start making the best use of it. And believe me, you are not too young to start or too old to change. You can always begin wherever you are. You don't need to be a certain age, a certain status, a certain level in society to do good in the world. You can start today itself, right? The only goal I have in life, honestly, it is, you might see my profile and wonder, okay, exactly what at least my parents used to think for a long time, that I would want my name to feature in the Fortune 500 companies. I would want to be top of the world, top in Asia, top in XYZ. No, that's really not my goal.
My goal at the end of the day is to help and impact as many people as I can in the little life that I have. The more I can help and change lives, the happier I am. And that's my success. Maybe I will not be successful for the entirety of my life, but I'm okay with it. As long as I can impact and help people, I'm good. Right? So anyway, without taking any further time, I know you all are looking forward to your awards. So again, thank you so much, SPCE. Thank you everyone. And all the best for your careers and futures. Thank you so much.